Hi, and welcome to Safe Space. I'm your host, the artistic psychologist. This podcast aims to end the stigma surrounding mental health, one conversation at a time. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome back to My COVID Story, a series we're running where we will be sharing stories from different individuals about their personal experiences during the pandemic. We hope that this series will help you find the courage to share your experiences, as well as make room to listen to other people's experiences. And in doing so, we hope that you will develop more empathy and compassion for yourself and others, and that you will find healing and peace. Today, I have my mom on the show. Hi, Mom.
Right?
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Ready to go.
Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself before we begin?
But you said I'm your mother.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about yourself apart from being my mother?
That I'm Electina. The mother of 3. Pauline and your
other
twin,
2.
Sophia Sylvanus. I'm employed. I'm an employee of the government. This one is very important. I'm 50 plus.
Okay.
Na nimeona maisha. And the COVID season is something that was out of this world, I think, for me, yeah. So let's see what we have to share.
Okay, I can really see the tears in your eyes. It's
Cool.
okay. One thing about my mother and I cry very easily. She pretends that she does not, but so does she. Okay, so take us back to 2020 March. Yeah, that's when officially, I think in Kenya, the pandemic was starting in this country. Do you recall the beginning of the pandemic for you? How did you feel then? And did you have any expectations of how things would turn out at that time?
Honestly, because I'd been reading a bit about it, first thing that came to my mind, maybe 2 weeks, maybe
2 weeks,
maybe a month, then it'll pass. And because the people that were taking us through it from the Ministry of Health had their own theory. So honestly, I just thought maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. But quickly, it seemed like we didn't know what was coming. And my first thoughts went to my sister, my younger sister, who was supposed to be coming. So you see, you're following the news, and then I remember what I kept monitoring was as they closed the airspace. I think she was supposed to come on the 31st of March.
Where was she coming from?
The UK. Then they announced one evening that they're closing the airspace on the 28th or something like that. It was, I think, just before our weekend. And I remember, because we chatted, I told her, Mercy, they're closing. What do we do? She already had her leave, I think, from 31st. So she said, as we always do, we pray. And the next day, she sent me a message and said, okay, her boss has told her she can leave. She can leave because her boss told her, we don't know what's coming. So you better go and be with your people. Now, to find space on a plane. Yeah. Anyway, short and tall of it, she made it. She came. She got here. Meanwhile, things are quickly spiraling. You know, people, you read, people are hoarding, people are doing, but the fear, just the fear. There was so much fear of this thing we don't know. Yeah. But I still hoped it's maybe just a month. So shocker number 1, my sister arrived and she's supposed to go into isolation. And I remember telling her, okay, first and foremost, getting onto the plane, I didn't sleep. because we were not sure she was going to get onto that plane. So she did. And I remember as she boarded, I told her, Mercy, when you get to the airport, the first hotel they call out, get onto that bus, because there were stories of being taken to Kenya School of Government, wherever. I just told the first hotel, get onto it. I have M-Pesa on my phone, we'll pay a deposit. So she got here. She arrived, I think, it was a weekday morning. Stayed at a hotel just a few meters, not even a kilometer from where I work. But I couldn't check on her. I couldn't check on her. I was glad she had arrived. She called and she said she's fine. She got into the hotel. I paid by M-Pesa. And that morning, I remember I sent somebody to take her some airtime and a book. It was Lent, by the way. It was Lent of that season. Airtime and a book. And quickly, even at the office, you started seeing the fear. So it's like the world started shutting down. But I still kept my faith. It will take maybe just a month. But every day on the news, these are the numbers. And you start seeing the fear. So, yeah, that is how it came.
It's interesting that you keep highlighting the fact that you kept telling yourself, maybe just 2 weeks, maybe a month. And I think human beings were very good at doing that. We want to predict an end in sight because that's what will keep us going. When we think about, okay, I'm sick, we want to ask the doctor, how long will it take for me to get better? You're told, okay, 2 weeks, fine. It's easier for you to get through that than when you're told, I don't know. What will happen? Oh, this will happen. These are the stages. That's easier to get through than someone telling you, I honestly do not know. So when there's the unknown, it's very easy for us to get scared because now it's unpredictable. We have to now start creating systems very haphazardly. We don't know what to do. And I think then the most unfortunate bit is that we had to sort of keep some sense of normalcy in a very abnormal time, which was very unfair. Yeah. So, you're being told we have to keep working, we have to keep doing this, and you have to keep sane when truly it's like everything was just falling apart. Like we all don't know, what's going on. I wish people would have just come out and been like, okay, I'm scared. I don't know what's going on, but let's just go through this slowly. Okay then. So at the time, what were your main worries or concern? You've mentioned your sister. You worried about your sister making it back. Was there anything else that was bothering you?
The next people I was really worried about were my children included, and especially my husband, because
that was my main worry too.
He lives the spinal cord injury, so he's got his own challenges. Then he had to keep going out because he's in politics. And of course, people around him are looking up to him maybe for solutions or looking the way forward. I had to keep going to work. So I'm going. Though I purposed, I'd only go to the office and back home. I didn't go anywhere else. And when I got to the office, I only sat in my office. But he also went out. So there was those. Then my mother, who's old, and my parents-in-law, who are very old, in the village where people thought this is a Nairobi thing. Yeah, and but I'm glad because I called and I said, look, no visitors, nothing, but you still worry because you're not really sure if they'll survive. Yeah. Then I quickly thought of one of you'd call them my co-wives, a wife to my husband's brother who's diabetic. But I remember calling her maybe on day 3 and I told her, people with diabetes are at risk. Don't go anywhere. I can tell you for sure, to date, she doesn't leave. I hear she'd tell people, I was told, Kadosh told me not to go.
She locked her out. If we're talking about the same person, I think she locked her gate.
She did.
People couldn't come in.
She did, but it was good for her because her diabetes is not very good, yeah. And we needed to protect each other. So those are the people I worried about immediately. My sisters, I don't know that to say I worried about them or I missed them, because I trusted my sisters to do the right thing, to know what to do and to do the right thing. And we continued communicating and encouraging each other. But what made me worry about many of my sisters was that they worried about their children. So I had mine.
As we quickly
in
went
my
home,
house.
I can tell you that
Yeah.
for sure.
But and only one other party had her kids with her. But my other sisters didn't have their children with them. And like Jackie's kids were out of the country, young and alone. Yeah. So as sisters, we got together, encouraged each other, supported each other, but also worried for each other. Yeah. Then I have my people in the office, and we tested regularly because we work in an environment where some people really can't keep away from each other. And every time we did those tests, I got people from my office who were positive.
You've talked about the fact that you had to keep going to work, right? And when the pandemic began, everybody, and we started taking it seriously, people were told to stay home, right? But then there are people in certain professions who still had to go to work. They're doctors, they're just different professions. And I remember, you were going to work daily, which of course was a cause of worry for me, I know, even my siblings. Yeah. But I wonder, how was that for you? Like just going back to work, knowing that, like you've mentioned, dad is more vulnerable than, other people. Were you afraid that you'd get sick, that you'd come and any of us would get sick?
I don't know. I never thought I'd get sick. I never wanted to imagine that I would get sick. Yeah. Because earlier on, one of my sisters actually got sick. And it's not a place you want. Forget the stories you hear from other people. My own sister got sick. So it's not a place you really want to be. But I never imagined I'd get sick. Interestingly. But every morning I left going to work, I worried. Once the roads were empty, it was a very lonely time. And then, as I told you, people at the office, my own office, people would get, let me not say sick, but positive. They get positive and they're told to stay away. And you don't know what will happen. So we were never all in the office. Much as we were supposed to work in shifts, few people. In my department in particular, we were never given the opportunity to say you'll work there and that. Every so often, somebody was off on isolation because they're positive. So the others have to come. And it went on and on. And I worried because every morning I got to the office. Every week or so we tested. Somebody else is positive. Somebody else is positive. And I got some people colleagues from the office and friends who admitted. So it was not easy waking up every morning to go to work. Coming back home in the evening, waking up tomorrow morning. But it had to be done. Yeah.
And you are, you have a senior position at work, right? So you could sort of say you're the one taking care of the people in your department. How was it for you, maybe breaking it to them that they don't have to come to work, checking in on them when they're sick? How were you managing that, and did it affect you in any way?
The way we did it, when you're tested, you are given the results as an individual. So the onus was on the individual to call me and tell me, look, I'm positive and I can't come. Yeah, but you're given the results as an individual. It's only later that they check back with me to see if I know that so and so should not be coming to work. Checking on those individuals was not easy, but I did it. I promised myself that I'd call every time any one of my staff members was found to be positive, I'd call them every day, morning and evening, to encourage them, to reassure them, and to just make sure that they're doing what must be done as much as possible to keep us going. Yeah. And I can tell you for sure, my particular department, I lost nobody. But in the course of calling them, you come across, you learn many things. I know of a lady I called, and she was having problems with the husband because she was found to be positive. And it became a real issue. Yeah. But we later realized it's the husband who had been positive first. And he didn't say. So she was picking it from him. Yeah. And she was out of office for quite some time because they kept repeating. And I think 2-3 times she tested positive. And then the fear. I remember when I realized she was having a problem with the husband, it was on a Sunday. So I called, because I had so many who kept turning positive. I told them, when I don't call you, please send me a message so that I just know, because there's so much work to be done, so that I know you're fine. And I remember calling her on this particular Sunday and just asking her, where are you? And she started crying. Oh, my husband. Oh, I said, no, get out of the house, open the windows, walk. You need to walk out. And do you want me to talk to him? But she recollected herself and said no. And that's when we realized it's the husband who had been sick. I assume he was actually sick. Just thank God that he survived, but he had been sick. So now you start dealing with issues other than just calling, maybe to encourage and what have you. But yes, I was very scared because in our own institution, we lost maybe 2-3 people. But my department, in fact, some people used to refer to it as the hotspot of Corona. Yeah, not something to laugh about at this time, but so yeah, I'd call them, and it was not easy. Just calling to check on people, not sure they're going to pick their call, because it appeared like if you get wewe uko tu kwa mlango ya kwenda, so you're really never sure. Especially the morning calls were not easy because I don't know what happened overnight. Yeah. But the evening calls were a bit easier on me because I'd say if something had happened, I'd have been told. Yeah, I'd have been told. But it wasn't easy. Yeah, so I have my own family, my children, my relatives and friends, then my colleagues at work. No, it wasn't easy.
I think that's been one of the biggest issues of the pandemic. Of course, we're dealing with this unknown. But on top of that, there are so many problems that were coming up. That maybe there were problems that were there and we didn't really pay attention to them at the time. So now that we're all at home and there's a lot of pressure, when there's pressure, things just tend to bubble up and come to the surface. We can't keep it together as well as we usually do. Yeah. But also I think one of the biggest problems is this fear that we all had. And to be honest, I think for many people that was the biggest problem. Because I don't think there were as many people getting as sick. But then because you get sick and everybody's like, oh my God, you have this thing, nobody wants to talk to you or to interact with you, then that does something to you. It's like, I think when somebody is sick or going through something, it's very important to have that community and support. It's what helps you get better. But the minute there's that stigma, then it makes things really hard. I remember in May 2020, I got sick, but it was food poisoning. But then they thought it was COVID. And I think I was home, then Dad was home, and I was sick. Like I got a fever to the point where I was almost hallucinating even. So Dad put me in the car, he's like, we're going to hospital. And I remember telling Sophia is my sister, I was like, Sophia, just pack for me a bag because I feel like they're just going to put me in isolation and I'm not going to come back home. And she was like, no, you're going to come back home. I'm like, just pack for me a bag. I don't think I'm going to come back home. And I was so scared because I was just like, now I'm going to go, dad is going to leave me in hospital. Then I'm thinking like, dad is vulnerable. Then he's going with me to hospital. Exactly. And when we got there, they took my temperature. My temperature was, very, very high. And then when we get in, you can see the doctors like whispering. They're just whispering. Nobody wants to touch me. So I'm there laying down on, it was such a funny sight because there is dad on the wheelchair. I'm like on the chair, almost on the floor, but like he's sort of carrying me because nobody wants to deal with me. Then eventually somebody comes and they're like, we have to put you in isolation, blah, blah, blah. My dad is like, that's fine. I'll sit with her. I said, thank God. So they took me to some room somewhere. At this point, I wasn't even really like conscious because my fever was very high. Yeah. So they take me to the room. Then I can just hear like in and out. I just keep hearing whispers. Nobody's really talking to me. So eventually they call dad out of the room. Then they tell him whatever it is they tell him. Then he comes back and he tells me, so they've said you have to do the COVID test. So I'm like, okay. But then he tells me, don't worry, I'll do it with you. Which for me, like that was very powerful for me because it was very easy for him to just be like, I'm going to leave you here. They said you're going to do the test. Because they told him we have to isolate her. And he was like, that's fine, but I'm not leaving her. I'm just going to stay here with her. So we did the test together. Then I was negative. Turns out it was just food poisoning. But yeah, just that whole process. And the doctor came, with the whole suit, the white thing we were wearing at that time with like the go-go. Then they refused me to leave. That time curfew was at 7, I think. Then dad had to go, then you came. And then we sat there until like 9. Yeah. We're going back home, the roads are empty. I was thinking we're going to get arrested.
Yeah, they wrote for us. I remember that sheet.
Yeah, the permission slip.
When he called me by then, I was really scared. But I came with a brave face and really told I took care of those people.
Yeah,
the way I usually do.
And I think was that the time Uncle Tony had died as well? No. I think so. Yeah, it must have been.
It was after. Just before.
It was just when Uncle Tony had died. Because I remember after that, you guys went to Bungoma for the funeral.
Okay.
I remember that because at that time I couldn't eat. Yeah. Like my stomach was just...
It was.
So there was just a lot going on. Now you're sick, you're thinking you have COVID. Somebody has died. They're saying he died from COVID. It was a lot. But yeah, anyway. Yeah. Okay. This time has been... It's been quite
special.
Special. So getting tested it's terrible. Yeah, and you were doing it frequently. How was that for you?
Getting tested for me was something that had to be done. It was the only way I could be sure, especially that your father was okay. Yeah, and I'll always be grateful to Sami of Path Care because he'd come, and we used to get tested at home, all of us, all the people in his CDF office, everybody around him. Yeah. And at the office they used to test every 2 weeks, but because I'd been tested at Path Care, I wouldn't. I don't know if it's still the same because they noticed
it was so terrible
experience, but you just put on a brave face. For me, not because I wanted to know whether I'm positive or not, but because everybody else around had to be tested.
For that sake.
Yes. Mostly for me it was because of him. Yeah. So I braved it. I think I must be one of the most tested people.
For real. You really are. Every other day you're getting tested.
At the office, it's you lead by from the front. So anytime they say people need to be tested, I'll just get up and bravely go and tell my people, line nyuma yangu, let's go. It's not something
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah,
I know. But it
and some people are doing it na nguvu as though they're being paid.
It's true. It was so hectic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's not an experience I like to think about. But we got through it.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about that and I think that we are lucky that we have the privilege to be able to do that for dad, I guess. Because I thought about many people who, are vulnerable just like him, but
Yeah, they can't get
what
tested.
can you do?
Mhm.
You can't get tested as frequently. The precautions, you can't really do that. So it must have been really, really difficult. Yeah. Okay. So of course, during the season, there are many people who lost their jobs, but there are also others who got to keep their jobs, you being one of them. And I know for some people this was a cause of guilt. Is that something you found yourself dealing with, feeling guilty that, I still have my job, but some people have lost their jobs and are struggling?
No. I've empathized with people who have lost their jobs, quite a number of them. I'll support where I can, but I never once felt guilty. And I don't feel guilty. Imagine, I've never thought about it. I just do my job, I give it my best. I had to be there and I'm still there. And I personally don't think that I don't think of it that way, no. Some sectors had to close up and they did. What could any of us do about it? So no, I don't feel guilty about it.
Interesting. Yeah, but that makes sense, because I know for many people that's something they do. Like just some guilt of, oh, look at me, I still have my job, but people are struggling, which I can understand, but I think maybe greater than the guilt, what we should all try and develop is gratitude. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm grateful I have my job. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'm grateful I have my job. I empathize with those who lost. I applaud those who struggled to come out of it and maybe come up with other ways of doing things. But guilty, no. No. Because I don't look at it as though those who still have jobs or are able to do the businesses they're doing pushed anybody over the cliff. It wasn't a matter of it's either me or you. No. So I don't even look at it that way. No. Yeah. But grateful that I still have my job, yes. Proud of myself for going to work every day and keeping that job, yes. Because we did it. Yeah. Through it all, we did it. Empathy for those who lost their jobs, yes. Because there are those who lost it. There are those who are able to turn around and come up with something else. But some sectors closed. It's about the economy. So, no, guilty, no.
Okay. And of course, dealing with all of this was a lot. I'm imagining mentally. How were you able to cope? Just finding ways to cope and deal with it.
I prayed a lot. Wow. Niliomba. I used to pray on the way to work, on the way back home, any small break. By the way, it got to a point where when I see a call, because maybe I know so and so, and maybe I know the sister or the brother or the hubby, and they're not my friends, those ones, but I just know them and I have the number. If I get a call from those other three parties, I pray first. Naomba tu, yani Mungu, please let it not be about, So I prayed. Having you guys at home, all of you at home, was a source of a lot of strength for me, because I'd come home and you're there and you're all there with all our struggles, yes. And of course there were the games we played, the coloring, the music.
Played games. We played games.
And the bell. Remember you had that
What bell?
Time for eating.
Oh yeah, we had a bell. It's a great school. Yeah.
And just being able also to put my name on that sheet, duty.
Oh yeah, we also had a duty sheet.
That is something I thought back to many times during the day at work, and it helped me. But the other thing that I did that helped me cope was the calls. Just keeping in touch with people. I told you, my sisters and I have a group, and every day we always say something on that group. But this during this period, it was very specific and very important to say that you're fine, or even just to say that I've tested positive, because they did that. I've tested positive, or my son or my daughter has tested positive, my husband. And that being able to reach out to each other as sisters. But then I also learned, as I kept calling my colleagues, that calling other people also gave me a sense of purpose, and it encouraged me. When I'd call and you'd hear so-and-so got and now they're fine, so-and-so had a scare, it helps you cope. Of course, when you call and you hear, the other day we buried, it dampens your spirit. But that sense of community, calling each other, really helped me. I tried as much as possible to keep things normal. So I woke up, went to work, came home. Sunday, woke up, showered, dressed, KBC, 9 a.m. Bishop Njue, Kando Njue, Mass. Fully dressed, proper. Yeah, singing. You remember? With the hymn books. Keep it as normal as possible. Yeah. Just trying to keep things normal. Yeah.
It's that looking for routine. That's something we discussed in the episode I did with Gloria, I think, where routine is very important just on a day-to-day. And I think most especially when things are seeming out of sorts. So times like this, like the pandemic, having a routine is very important. Just keeping whatever you're talking about, waking up, making sure you dress, get out of bed, do this, do that, a routine. It's the same when people are struggling with something like depression, finding that routine, because already it feels like you've lost ground. You don't have control over things. But once you get that sort of routine, no matter how minimal the routine is, it can really help you just keep going. So even if it's something as simple as I'll get out of bed, I'll maybe meditate for a few minutes, I'll brush my teeth, I'll make sure I eat breakfast, then, I'll make sure I go to bed on time. That's enough. Then over time, we build on that. But during the pandemic, I think most especially, many people, maybe without knowing, discovered like the importance of routine, even going to bed at a set time, waking up at a set time, and then just filling your day with, other things apart from work, talking to people, that checking on people. It's really, really important. And I think, that's what kept us sane in these insane times. Yeah. I have a random question for you. So, we usually have this joke with Sophia and Sylvanus, my siblings, that actually with Sophia mostly, because Sophia and I are both adults, but there are times when my brother is like, he's looking for an adult in the room. We are also looking for an adult in the room. Then we realize like, actually, we are the adults in the room. But there are times we tell each other like, okay, but we want a more adult, like not us. We don't want ourselves. There are times when something happens and I'm like, no, I do not want to be the adult in this room. I need an adult, if that makes sense. Do you ever feel like that? Like you're the adult and you're just like, you know what, now I want my mom. This thing of me being the adult, I do not want to be that anymore.
Many times during the pandemic specifically, for example, I always reported to my boss. Today we did this number of tests. This number of my people are at home. And I've checked on them, they are fine. So that in case of anything, ajue. If the ball stops, I don't know if that's what I thought. And then I've got older sisters. I've got only one younger sister. So many times would look up to my sisters. But yes, there are times I really felt the weight.
Yeah.
Now in the house, there's Sisi, Mimi and team. And beyond now, just people in the house, the village is also there. There are times you wish there was somebody else to take charge.
I think about that sometimes because there's so many times I'm like, look, me, I'm just gonna live for mom. Like, I don't want to deal with that.
My mother is now too old.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. My final question for you. Then we'll do a bonus. Actually, maybe 2 more questions. Yeah. Do you feel any parts of your life have evolved during this time?
for example.
Maybe relationships, maybe work.
One thing is I'm very clear about now. I make a deliberate effort to get in touch with people. And when I do, when I call you or I text you, or I call to listen, to hear. Not just at kulikwaje. No. Because I realized that there's so much, earlier you said there are things that had been happening maybe in Paul's lives, but the pandemic is what now made them bubble. They were bubbling, but now they came out. So I listen. I'm more deliberate, and I purpose more to just listen and try and hear maybe what is not really being said, and encourage people to really talk about whatever it is. So when I call you, I've called you. It's not at just for the sake of it. That also means that the numbers of people that I'm in touch with have kind of decreased. Because
you can't do that for too many people. That's draining.
Yeah. Because so that is it. I'm more grateful. Honestly, I'm more grateful because personally I lost our colleagues, not of my department, but I think 3 colleagues. 3. We lost Uncle Tommy just like that. Just like that.
That's the best way to describe it.
Just like that. And I don't want to say we didn't bury him, but it's like we just threw him away. And I'm also more keen on what maybe you call the gut feeling, because during the pandemic, there's Sarah the hairdresser. One day I just thought of calling her out of nowhere, and when I called her, from her voice, I thought, no, there's something wrong. Then she told me, I was thinking of calling you, but I've been like, Sarah, are you not well? Oh, I'm not very well. I'm just in the house. In fact, what she told me last night, I slept with the door open so that if I die, they don't have to bring down the door. So that's when I realized she had COVID. She was struggling with it. She was sick. And I asked her, and who's near you? She told me her son had gone home. In the where they were staying, the plot they were staying, most people had taken their kids. In fact, in that plot they were staying, only one lady had children, and she had taken them home. The others were just people, adults who are staying on their own. So she has nobody to send. And it was a very long night for me. Very long night. So the next morning I woke up, I had assignments out of the office. I called her in the morning. She was still there. I said, what can I send you? I don't even have food. So I went to the office. I sent a message to one of my colleagues and said, look, we meet early in the office. I want to send you something. Then, as you mentioned earlier, people don't want to interact with. So she came and said, look, I want to send you to my friend. She's my friend. She's positive. You don't have to interact with her, but I need you to take her food. So I gave her a shopping list, gave her money to buy, gave her money for a cab to take her, gave her a number. You'll call her, she'll describe to you where to go. Then I was out of town actually that day. I came back late in the night. And this colleague of mine told me, when you come back, call me. When I called her, she told me, your friend is dying. She's sick. She's very sick. She couldn't even walk for 5 minutes. So then I thought to myself, now, what I've bought her, can't she even cook? So I called her. That's at about maybe, but I sent her some money. So that was at about 10 in the night. Are you awake? Oh, I'm awake. Have you eaten? Oh, she told me, she told me she had drunk. So I asked her, where are you No, and I remember telling her, you don't have any friends near you. She told me the people I told, my friends, when I told them I've tested positive, none of them has checked on me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could buy friends.
So I asked her, where do you get your food from? The market. She told me, oh, Mama so-and-so. Do you have a number? She gave me. So I called that lady in the night. Do you know so-and-so? She said, yes, she's not well. She's my friend. Could you make her food? Just take it to her door. Yeah, for you to be safe. She told me no problem. So I sent her money for her to make her porridge the next day. And she'd do her porridge and she'd just eat vegetables. So she'd make her vegetables for like 3 days. And Sarah got up. Yeah. So the issue of gut feeling. Yeah, gut feeling. And just having people around you that can support you. Because I really felt bad about her friends doing that to her. But I was also grateful to the people that I could reach out to and that support her. Sarah is fine. Within about 2 weeks, she was okay. She was very much okay. So I learned that there are people I'd call, and yeah, they'd been very sick. That I'd call, and they just died. Yeah, you call a number and you're told, no, she passed on. Yeah. So I'm more deliberate with getting in touch with people and doing it yani ya ukweli, not just, yeah. Yeah, but as I say, that has reduced the number of people I get in touch with because
that story of Sarah, I think it also just shows something that I think the pandemic came and took away from a lot of us is that trust we have with each other. Because even now, as you know, we can go out more, we can interact more. It's, I think for all of us, at the back of our minds, we're always thinking like, oh, is this person sick? Will they infect me? Can I really interact with them? Can I trust them? No, and it's just that trust that we used to have for other people. It's been taken away. And during, like I think at the height of the pandemic, that's when we really saw that just choosing to lean into trust a little bit and lean into just empathy and extending grace to somebody else, you know, even if they're sick. And there's the risk of us getting sick too, but it's just that empathy and that compassion that can help somebody get better even faster. But of course, because we were all afraid, you know, it's a bit more difficult to do that.
You say the trust loss, but I look at it this way, that the pandemic came, we had to wear our masks. The masks, but the masks most of us have been wearing fell off.
Also fell off, true.
Yeah, they fell off.
True. In point of pressure, that's those things come out. True.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I guess it was an opportunity for all of us to clean up house a bit. You remove some people from your life. Yeah, like that's unfortunate, but it's okay. Well, maybe we just let them go. Okay. Thank you. I think that's all I have for you. Thank you for having this conversation with me. But then, interestingly enough, you didn't get sick at all. Not even once, yeah? All of us at home got sick apart from Mom. Mom never, and she was always the one going to work, interacting with people, but she never got sick. Even when all of us were sick in the house at the same time. Never, not even once.
The stroke.
Manze, you're lucky.
He needed me to do something else.
That's true. But you're also like carrying a lot. I can't imagine dealing with all of that and then, you know, being sick.
Gosh, I really prayed. You know, it's not gone.
It's not come. Right, kuna vaccine at least. Yeah, sawa. Shall we do a bonus question? Okay, so before we do a bonus question, let's cheers and drink some Coke.
Now, this is my cup of
umekata kunywa
my tea. This is my tea. I used to take my tea slowly during those in this cup that I was bought for by Pauline Wairimu. I had reduced taking Coke.
It's okay.
But with the pandemic, I went back to it. But now I've stopped again.
Special occasion. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay. You have to sip. Don't put it down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you can pick one card here. Then give it to me. I'll read out the question to you.
I pick or I look at them?
Just pick. When you're looking at the pictures, just pick one.
But the pictures are the same.
That's it. Just pick one random one. That's the point.
Who put this card here?
Mom. Just pick one card. And give it to me, please.
I have to pick two.
Okay, because you're a mother of twins. Yes. Kindly. Thank you. You can put the other two down. Okay. The first one. What is one piece of advice you can give based on your COVID experience and what you learned at the peak of the pandemic?
As much as possible, continue doing the things you are doing. You may do them differently, but the routine that you have, don't just let it go, because that keeps you sane. Otherwise, you'll think you're going mad.
It's actually true.
So wake up, trace, keep busy with something. If you're not going to the office, keep busy. Keep in touch with people, even if they're dying. Your circle of the people you keep in touch with, keep in touch with them. Yeah. Sleep, wake up. As much as possible, stick to your routine, and where the routine needs to change, it's okay, change it, but let there be a routine.
Well said. Okay. I think you've touched on this, but what was one of your greatest struggles at the height of the pandemic, or any time during the various lockdowns?
Fear. Fear. Oh, honestly, I never showed it, but I was really afraid. Really afraid, especially in the beginning. 72 hours. You know, you think of so many things. No, I was just afraid. And so afraid of the news that Ministry of Health used to give. But I was always there. I don't know, I was always looking at it. And yet I was so afraid of the numbers, what have you. But there was I was really afraid for about so many things. Yeah, that I felt I had no control over. And then people around you are also scared, and they think that you have the solution.
You're the adult.
Yeah, you're the adult, you're the boss, you're the one who's exposed. Yeah, but just that fear of this animal we know nothing about, really.
That is all. Thank you for having this conversation with me.
Mtalipwa pesa ngapi?
Hakuna kulipwa. You're just being open and honest over here. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think my favorite episodes are always the ones, so far, are the ones where I have my family members on. But it's only been, it's been you and Dad now, and some of my cousins. Yeah. Hopefully now I can bring Sophia and
where are they your favorite?
Why? Because to be honest, recording really scares me. I don't like it at all. And I think you know this. I don't like it. I don't enjoy being in front of the camera at all.
But there's no camera.
Which is weird. Look at all these cameras.
And this one, Angela.
It really freaks me out. I don't like being in front of the camera.
Why do you look at them?
Which is funny, because I like taking pictures, but I enjoy it when I'm taking pictures of myself, because it's just me and the camera, and or maybe Sophia or someone is taking me pictures, but I don't like it. So that is always a cause of anxiety for me. But when I'm doing it with, let's say, you or Dad, or when I have somebody here, like one of my siblings, it calms me down. So that's why I enjoy it. Other times I think like I'm thinking on I don't know, overdrive. It's too much. So yeah, but I do it because I think it's necessary, and I will keep doing it.
Yeah. Stories you share are they're good for people to not everybody can record, not everybody can tell their story, and many times just hearing somebody else helps you realize that tuko wengi. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Asante. Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for the cook. Asante sana.
Sawa.